Hi, let us discuss here about the concept of immutable. So many times when we see this word immutable, we get confused. So immutable, it is as simple as to say that value cannot be changed. Anything if is immutable, so that particular value cannot be changed. There are many data types in Python or developed as immutable data types or immutable values, and even there are some data structures also becomes immutable. So understanding the concept of immutable is highly important over here. Okay, so what is immutable means? The value cannot be changed. Let us consider this one simple example here. This example will help us to understand the concept of immutable. Okay, so here what do we have? The variable called site number, and the site number is assigned with the value 23. So now since Python supports the dynamic typed variable, so here we can directly associate a value to a variable without specifying a data type. Now 23 is being an integer value. The site number will be initially it will be configured as an integer data type. So it's a variable for an integer data type. Okay, now to give you better understanding about the immutable concept of immutable, in addition to the normal printing variables, also we have included the ID of a site number, the variable over here. It's a kind of an address. ID will return as the value, which we know it's a kind of an address where the particular value is stored onto a memory. Okay, so now look at the second statement. The second statement indicates it's a print statement where we try to print the site number value followed by a string. Then at ID where it is going to be located, so that is going to be stored by somewhere in the computer memory. It's going to be stored, and that information of where it is stored, the address, we will retrieve with the help of the ID member. And next what we do, we set a reference value. We set a reference value, the reference variable for the site number. So the site number is the previously existing variable, and for which we assign a reference variable called a survey number. Now in the same way we try to type the survey number also. Okay, so this is supposed to be a survey number. So survey number, and this is actually a ID of a site number, ID of a site number only. So what we'll do, we'll just remove this. Okay, we'll just remove it. It's a site number, and also we print the ID of the site number here, ID of the site number. And similarly we print the value of the survey number also, survey number and its ID also, it's going to be printed here on the screen. Okay, being a reference variable, now what this ID number will be, this ID number and the survey number will be having a same value. It means that on a memory, both the value of the survey number and the site number is pointed to the same value on a memory. So let us consider this to be a memory, and if there are some value that we are going to store it on a memory, let's say the 23 is stored here. 23 is stored here. Now survey number also will point to this, and the site number is also will be pointing to the same location on a memory. Okay, now what do we do? We'll try to vary the site number value. So we reassign the value of site number to 53. As you know, the concept of the reference variable in Python, the reference is valid. The concept of reference is valid only until we change the value of any of the variables. Once you modify the values of the variable, that reference becomes invalid. The link between the previous value is broken. And now here site number is modified with the value 53. Now here what do we do now? We print the site number value and also we try to find out where exactly this is going to be stored over here. Okay, so now here if you look into it, the output of this program, you can see that site number is 23. For the first print statement, the site number is 23. It is stored at an ID. The last four number, let us look into it. That is 3984. 3984. So the second print statement, after declaring a reference variable, we checked the site number ID and also the survey number ID. So now being a reference, the site number is stored at the same location, and the survey number is also now set to point to the same location on a memory. Okay, yes. Now here what we have done, after that we modified the survey site number to 53. So after modifying, let us go and check on the values of the site number and also the ID of the site number. We will be able to see that site number is changed to 53, and also the memory address now it's changed to some other new value, but survey number is still holding at the value 3984. Got it? So why these things are happening? It is happening because of only one reason. The integer data type is immutable. So what does it mean? Once the value of one type, kind of an integer, it's stored onto a memory. On the same location, you cannot change the value. We cannot change the value at the same location. Instead, it's going to be stored at a different place, and the handle is going to be exchanged between the previous number and this number. Now this site number, let's say this is the site number pointer. Now this is broken, whereas now site number is going to be pointing to this location 53. Got it? So that's the concept of immutable. So it is very simple to say that in a program we can change the value of the variable, whereas it does not allow us to change the value on a memory in the previous location. Got it? That is what, that's called a concept of immutable. Thank you for watching.